Good morning, or good day, because it'll be whenever you be watching this. So thank you for looking at this video. I am interviewing my great friend Birgit Schweizer, and Birgit will tell you a little bit about herself and why I'm interviewing her. And so what we're going to cover in this video is what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then we're going to talk about what Birgit hopes to achieve. So I'm Birgit's coach, amongst as well as a friend, amongst other things, and so I think the path will be revealed. So should we start by saying, why don't you introduce yourself, Birgit, and tell the listeners who you are and give a little bit of your potted history and why we're having these conversations. And remember to try and speak up with the
I'll
microphone.
try and speak as loud as I can. So I'm Birgit Schweizer. I'm 58 years old. I must think about that these days. I live in Cape Town, and I have been living with Parkinson's, as you can see, for the past 25 years. I'm in my 25th year now. I want to share from my experience of living with this disease, but let me just talk a little bit more about myself. I grew up in Germany, partly in Germany, partly in South Africa, and I remember just a little thing that was unusual. I started school in August the 1 year, and then started school again in South Africa, and I was devastated that I had to start school again. I was crying and crying because the system was so different. I had to wear uniform. I had to sit in a what do you call this morning sessions that schools have?
A detention or?
No, where everybody comes together.
Oh, assembly.
Assembly. I had to go sit in assembly. I was beaten with a ruler on my hand. So all was very different. But I did enjoy my time in South Africa. Then I went to Germany to study. Well, not quite to study, but I studied social work in Germany. And then I decided in my last year to come on a holiday to Cape Town to see where I lived. I actually stopped over in Joburg to see where I lived there and what I did there as a child. And yeah, that was the beginning of my story, basically. What else do you want to know?
So I think what I'd like to know is what happened when you first got Parkinson's, and what was that process like? What actually happened?
I remember going to let me start somewhere else. I was writing proposals for funding for the work that I was doing, and the first thing I noticed was my writing was getting smaller and smaller, and I couldn't do anything about it. I would try and write big letters, and then small letters would come out. That was the one thing, and then I had another strange sensation on my right hand side. It would like tense up and be strangely sore. And I went to see a therapist. She did some therapy with me physically, but it didn't make any difference. At that year I was studying, I was a single mother, and I was working. So I thought maybe this is stress what is happening, because my little finger, my pinky finger started to shake. So I decided I'm going on a holiday, and when I come back and it's not gone, I'll go and see a doctor. And I remember clearly thinking, the one thing I don't want to have as a diagnosis is Parkinson's. And I got that diagnosis. Just how it works sometimes.
And what was so we're going to not edit this, right? So there's a dog in the background, there'll be a plane that goes overhead. So we'll just, if it becomes intrusive, we'll just pause and then we'll carry on. And I think one of the reasons we were speaking about this before is we want this to be just a human experience. You know, I think so often we have these perfect videos and so on and so forth, but I think as your disease has proven, life is sometimes it can occur as very, very inconvenient. And so we're just gonna, in the spirit of that, we're just gonna let the camera roll and go.
And then I don't have to stress about standing in front of a big group of people, which makes me tense, and then I have more symptoms, and it's really not helpful.
Yeah. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling fine.
Fantastic.
So where were we?
So yeah, just around actually getting the disease. It was interesting. You said, the one thing you didn't want to get was Parkinson's, and then you got Parkinson's.
And then I was excluded from my work, changed medical aid, and they wouldn't take me. They exclude you for a whole year. So I had to go to Grooteske Hospital, which is a public hospital in Cape Town, and sit in with other people in the queue waiting for your medicine. And I remember once, with the first visit actually, when I had to see the professor, there was a guy sitting there and he was shaking quite strongly. And I thought, I'm not going to ever get to that shaking stage. I'm going to make sure that I stay healthy. I had no idea what was coming for me, but that was like my attitude all the time. That I would take my life in my hand, including those symptoms that I was dealing with, or including the challenges that I had to deal with. Yeah.
It's kind of like it'll happen. That happens to other people, but this is not going to happen for me.
No, and it was going to happen. I mean, I knew I had Parkinson's at that stage already, but it was clear to me that I wasn't going down the same path as everybody else. Should I tell you a bit about my day where I got my diagnosis?
Absolutely, please.
So I came back from Germany. I made this appointment to see a neurologist, actually my house doctor, who sent me to a neurologist. And he was very, he was surprised that I was so young to have it. It is something that's called early onset, but for me it went like this. I went there, he did a few tests with my hands and my feet, and then he said, I'm going to send you down for an MRI. And I never knew about an MRI, what it means. So because he had already given me the diagnosis, he said, I think you have got Parkinson's. I just want to exclude some other things by doing the MRI. So to go into this tunnel, which makes a huge racket, and it was so claustrophobic in there. So I pressed the button. They told me that I can press to come out and take a break. I wanted to set up, but then I would have to start the whole thing again, and I decided, no, I'm going to stay lying. Anyway, that didn't give any more information on what I had. It just told us what I didn't have. And it seemed like I've got Parkinson's. So he wrote a script for me, and I went to fetch my son, and then went home and decided to go to the pharmacy. And the pharmacy wouldn't give me the piece of paper that gives you all the information about the medication. They just gave me a plastic bag with pills in it. So I said to them straight away, I want a copy of that sheet of paper. And when I got home, first I broke down and I cried. Once my son was settled with friends, I could just let go. And I realized this is now a change of direction in my life. And after a while I thought, let me read this paper, and I read it, and I decided there and then that both the paper and the pills are going in the bin. That was really empowering for me. And then I had this one big worry, and that was that my son, I would be able to look after my son till he's 18, till he's an adult. And at the time he was 6 years old, so I had 12 years ahead of me. That was the day when my future really changed. And so that's the beginning of...
And here you are, 25 years later.
I'm 25 years later, so I made it past the 15-year mark and further, which is actually great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, So if you were watching this now, what would you want to know? Like what question would you ask Birgit or about?
I would want to know firstly what this disease is all about.
Right.
And I learned that immediately from another coach I had then. He said information is power. And I learned that all along, every time something new came my way, I needed to learn about the new stuff, whatever it was. So I would like to know that. And then maybe the experience, what it's like to be having this disease, what it involves, what you can do to stop it or not stop it, or alleviate it. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, great. So I mean, I thought we'd do 5 or 6 of these, maybe 3 or 4. We'll see. But broadly, I wanted you to introduce yourself to people. I think it would be very remiss not to give some information about the disease, because we don't want to assume that anyone knows anything really about Parkinson's. I mean, I'm presuming you didn't know much about it before you got it.
I just knew that you shake, that's all right.
Yeah, same as me. So let's spend some time, and then I definitely want to spend, possibly not this time, but maybe next time, really giving people an experience of what it's like for you.
I think first we should say how the two of us got
great.
to connect.
Cool. Want to do that?
I don't know where we started in England.
I think we started in England. We both did a course, a self-development course called Landmark Forum, and that was I did it in '97.
In '96.
Okay. And we connected because it was a fantastic experience. It was my first kind of introduction into what I now know to be personal development. And and then Birgit had done it, so we connected together. And I think, just a little bit about that. I mean, it was interesting. Maybe it's good also for me to just introduce myself as well. I'm a coach, a speaker, and a trainer, and my area of real interest is really courageous communication, which I think this is here. So whether it's public speaking or introducing yourself to strangers or having difficult conversations, that's the stuff that really, really interests me. And so I've been doing that for about 20 years or so. And I'm based here in Cape Town. I've been living here since 2001, and before that, just a little bit of potted history to go back to where I was born. I was born in England in a town called Leamington Spa, which is just southeast of Birmingham, and then I moved with my family to South Africa, to Durban, when I was 3 years old in 1977. I'm 52 years old now. And then we moved to South Africa until 1977, and then went back to England. And I always spoke about South Africa. I've always adored this country. So I spoke about it, but eventually only came back in 2001. And so in between then, I finished my schooling in England. I left school and I travelled. I went to India and Southern Africa. And then I joined the British Army. I was in the Army for 5.5 years. And then I bicycled from one end of Africa to the other, from Cape Town back to England. And then I studied photojournalism. I mean, my life, I don't know about you, but my life has been a whole series of kind of,
I'm trying something else. I was more like committed to 1 or 2 causes.
You were? Yeah. Oh, you were quite clear early on, were you?
I was clear that I wanted to be involved in inclusive education, which was not a thing done at all. Here, they were only piloting it overseas. So I piloted the first school with some parents here.
Oh, we're here?
A preschool in town.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So when you say, what does inclusive education mean for you?
It means it includes every child in the neighborhood. So if they go to school, they they can all go to the same school from like 4 or 5 streets, a block of houses, whatever the school usually contains.
Right.
And then there's a program by which the children will learn according to their abilities, and the highest potential will be achieved for them.
Okay.
So that was very exciting. I was one of the founder members of this organization. I was also one of the first group, like Simon just talked about the Landmark Forum. I was part of the team that brought it here. And then the third thing I was involved with was the SAGENet, the South African German Network, which is an organization that allows young people from Germany or from South Africa to go visit and stay a whole year in the other country. And they will do some social placements, work for a whole year, and learn another language or what they ever need to learn. So I was more like that, a steady supporter.
Fabulous. Great.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. So let's talk about the disease. So what do you want to tell us? What has been what have you learned since going from Parkinson's is something where you shake? That's been the kind of external experience. What's been the internal? Well, no, sorry. Let me just take a step back. Not the internal experience. We're going to go into that, but tell us like the basic guide to Parkinson's. What actually happens?
So what actually happens is that in your brain there's something that's called dopamine, a fluid that carries the information that you do throughout the day. You have stuff that your body does you don't even know is doing it, like your eyes blink so that your eyes stay moist, or you breathe, obviously that happens without you thinking about it, or what else, if you walk and your arms swing automatically, they don't do that anymore for Parkinson's.
And that's dopamine that's responsible for that, is it?
The information doesn't get transported, dopamine doesn't get produced enough anymore so that you can't give that information further. It's also supposed to be a hormone of happiness.
Yes, that's what I've heard as well.
So I don't know much of that. So. Do you want something?
No, you don't really. Don't want to.
So really it's a dopamine deficiency.
It's a dopamine deficiency, and it's progressive. So with time it's more and more that doesn't get produced, and there are less and less or more issues that you have to deal with as a person who's got Parkinson's. So for many people the handwriting goes slow. For many people the walking becomes an issue eventually. What else is? Most people don't have very good expressions on their face anymore. You don't smile automatically anymore.
When do you smile?
I usually, when I can laugh about something.
Like a proper,
Smiling for the camera is very difficult.
So, am I right in saying then most of the drugs are to, in some way, produce dopamine?
Yeah, or they're tricking the brain into believing there is dopamine, and then the brain will stop functioning.
Okay.
When you've taken your meds, obviously. So the meds is a very central part to the treatment, because they don't know yet, the medical world doesn't know yet what actually causes it.
Right.
They've got some ideas, and for some people that makes sense, but they can't claim that they actually know what causes it.
Okay.
So if you don't know what it causes it's very hard to treat it.
And you've tried lots of different treatments, I take it?
I've tried lots of treatments. I was also twice on a medical trial. felt I want to give something to the community. But I had to stop the one trial because I got very low blood pressure so much that I fainted on the aeroplane one.
Does it does the disease affect different people in different ways? I mean, Michael J. Fox is a well-known person who's did he die?
No,
He didn't. Okay. For some reason I thought okay. So he's still alive. He's had it for many years, isn't he?
he's got the same amount of years that I have.
Oh, okay.
And he's almost the same age as well.
Oh, interesting. Have you ever met him?
No.
Okay.
I've seen him on TV quite a bit. Otherwise,
And does it is it what's the term? Progressive? Is it consistent? Or does it affect different people in different ways?
it affects different people in different ways. Also, I think your attitude to your own body and your life makes a difference in this disease. It's very much like they say, it's so complicated that each person needs their own diagnosis and trying out of medicine. And the trying out part is also very hard because you have side effects. I fell asleep driving on the highway.
Oh.
And then the same day in the afternoon, I fell asleep driving on my way home. I was suddenly on the side of the road, being bumpity bump, and then I was on the side of the road. So, yeah, the side effects are really not great. You have to you almost get medication to deal with your Parkinson, and then you get medication to deal with the side effects. And I've been trying to get away from the side effects because they really make it even worse.
And you've been trying cannabis oil?
Yes, recently I've started to use cannabis oil, and I'm in the try-out phase with it.
How's that going?
It's going all right. It lets me sleep well, which is a very important aspect because that gives you
Because
healing.
your body stops moving when you...
And your body can start heal itself. I've got a pain under my rib today, so
You're still feeling it right now? Is it
yeah,
quite sore?
I feel this. Sometimes just any movement can set it off. Then for a while it's quiet. It starts.
So I think we can kind of start to bring this to a close.
Yeah, I think so.
So the final question is around, and tell me if you feel like answering this question, might be a better time to do it another time. But we've known each other for many years, and I've been coaching you for a few months now. Do you want to say why? Like what are you trying to achieve, and how is the process helping?
I stopped work 2 years ago. I think it's 2 years now, and I realized I still want to do something for the medical world as well as for the patients that can make a difference. And so when I used to get this email which would invite me to come on a course about public speaking and voice, so that's not me. So suddenly I thought maybe it is me, and maybe that could be something I want to do in the future. So I took a course, which was called what?
Courageous public speaking course.
The Courageous Public Speaking, and I needed courage. But it was really a great course that got me onto this. And so now I've also discovered the YouTube option with another video that we did. And yeah, so that's my motivation, really to make a difference for others.
Right. I think, and the final thing that I'll say, this is obviously I'm not you, but the thing we've spoken about is in life, it's often we are so governed by our past, aren't we? The things that happen in life, we constrain ourselves, and we have self-limiting beliefs and self-limiting habits and so on and so forth based on the past. And what we're not so good at as human beings is creating futures for ourselves to say, regardless of the past, this is what's this is where I'm going. So So for me, this is about helping, assisting Birgit, you on your journey of the goal, the goal of healing, and sharing, which is what you're doing now, and standing in the place that says, I'm committed to beating this thing and healing it, and let's see what happens on that journey. In the same way as you have a goal to win a gold medal at the Olympics, whatever it is, it's a future that we're creating.
Yeah, agree.
Okay,
Okay.
good. So thank you, and look forward to next time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye bye.